the things I do for me. And I always think of them. I think of my boys too, because I want them to see what a woman that loves herself, that takes care of
Yes.
herself, that is actually walking the talk and doing those things, what it looks like. Because they're still in my household, and there will be a time where I won't have any kind of say or kind of guidance for them. I don't
Yeah.
want them to be like me, but just understand this is what a like emotional regulated person should be like, right? They can have triggers, they can have depression, they can have sadness, but they can also experience joy. They can build
Yes.
new habits.
Welcome back to the Delulu Magic Podcast. It is Women's Month, and it's also rodeo here in Texas, in Houston. So we're wearing our cowgirl boots.
This is about as close as we're gonna get to going to having a rodeo look.
It's
So
too many people.
yeah,
in the
yeah,
rodeo. We're just,
we've done our time. You've done a little more with the
Yeah.
girls, right? You go to the concerts. I have not been. Oh my gosh, I want to say probably 6 years. My kids were still young enough where they wanted to go, and we would do like the animals and all that. But no, I have not been. Oh, before COVID too. After that, I was like, never mind.
I actually went maybe like 2 years ago, but super funny story, not what our topic is
Yes.
about, but
Tell us.
they like for me to get on roller coasters with them, and I hate roller coasters. Like I used to like them, like when we used to go to Astroworld. If you're from H-Town, you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Astroworld. And so I get on with them. First I'm in the line, and I actually like cried a little bit because I didn't want to get
Oh
on.
my
They're like,
gosh.
come on, and I'm like tearing up, and I'm like, are you guys really gonna make me go on? But okay, I'll get on. So we go up, and I'm like, this isn't bad. It's like kind of swinging. Then all of a sudden, this thing starts spinning and like hard and throwing you upside down. All I could do was just like close my eyes. They're like laughing,
Oh my gosh.
and I'm just like praying. And finally, it was over.
I hope you don't do that anymore,
No,
because that's part of people pleasing.
I yes.
Being a masochist.
You know what? That's the hardest part for me. My people pleasing with them still. Like
gross.
with my husband now, I'm like much more. But with them, I'm like, oh, okay, because I feel like it's a bonding moment. But also
Yeah.
that was torture. I'm not doing that again.
And that leads us into our topic for today.
Yes.
We are going to be talking about raising our girls. Paula and I both have girls while raising ourselves, because we, like we've said many times, we are a work in progress.
Yes.
And we're both realizing at the stage, the ages our girls are, right? What an impact we still have on them, you know, and what we want to show them.
And what we want to show, because I
Yeah,
don't feel
yeah.
as much as like what
Though
we say.
there's no more verbal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
there's no more.
your
am I gonna
example
show
that
you?
you're setting.
And that's how it really should. It is, right? Because what we see, we become. It's not what we get
Like,
told.
just do what I tell you. Not
Not what-
don't do what you're
do not
seeing.
Follow my. Do not follow in my footsteps. So I think I found so I have got my girls. My girls are 19 and 15, so college and sophomore. I have found that I've taught them a lot. I showed them since I started with therapy, like that I normalize the therapy talk in our house. Lots of big words, our vocabulary expanded. They understand. We're getting better about emotional regulation. We could, two of us can go at it still together. We're like could trigger each other, but we're getting way better. With my little one, there is like a big thing where she just understands a lot more. She's like a little old soul, and I don't mean that she's responsible in the sense like we used to get told, but I just mean that she reminds me of me but herself, with her own thoughts and beliefs. Like this weekend I was taking her to her art class, and we were talking about faith, and my other children, I made them do their communion, because I'm a Catholic and that's what you do and all that. And by the time she was number 4, we were tired. My husband was
like, your
tired.
choice.
I was tired. It was I was not going to church as much. We already had them in a Christian school. And we just kind of were like, we've been very big on they'll figure it out. We want them to figure it out. We want them to be exposed to it, but we don't want to impose
Yeah,
kind of
because
like
everyone has
those
their
beliefs.
journey.
But now I think it was a disservice, because really you're leaving there should be some kind of mentorship guidance from your parents about what faith is, and get taught, right? Philosophy in a sense. And she was saying something about I said something about where you don't want to be completely atheist, and she's like, well, what's wrong? It just means you don't believe in a higher power. Like her response was very articulate, right? And I was like, well, wow, like we're having a dialogue, a conversation, and I wasn't like triggered and being like, oh, my thoughts and my beliefs. So I have found in these past months, because I'm going to call it this, possibly the past year, but this year has really been really nice that I see that I'm like, the things I do for me. And I always think of them. I think of my boys too, because I want them to see what a woman that loves herself, that takes care of
Yes.
herself, that is actually walking the talk and doing those things, what it looks like. I because they're still in my household, and there will be a time where I won't have any kind of say or kind of guidance for them. I
Yeah.
don't want them to be like me, but just understand this is what a like emotional regulated person should be like, right? They can have triggers, they can have depression, they can have sadness, but they can also experience joy. They can build
Yes.
new habits. Like, I never thought of that. Like, I didn't think, we talked in a podcast previously about building habits. Like, Paula mentioned part of hers, and I was like, I didn't have them. I'm very structured. I'm increasingly like I am disciplined, but not for myself.
Yeah.
And it took, I remember last year we had a guest that he said about, why do you do, I don't know if you remember, we went to lunch and he's like, well, you don't, you can do that for yourself. And I was like, no, I can't. I don't have time. I don't have time for me.
Yeah.
And
Because I'm managing.
because everything else
everything
comes
else.
first. So I'm showing everybody that I love, I come last, and then expecting them to put me somehow in their top priority when I'm saying I don't matter, right? And then
Yes.
my daughter, my college age girl, has shown me what it looks like to put yourself first. She has done it with like friendship. She has done it with herself, with how she takes care of her body, how she takes care of her like rest, her food. Like, she goes to therapy because I've introduced that. Like, we can afford that. That all these things that I'm like, she goes and has dinners by herself. I just
never.
like, she does all her activities by herself. She loves to just the things that I was scared to do as a full grown adult, right? So I believe that I'm being raised by my children while I'm raising them as well, right? Like, I'm showing, but they show me things, and now my world has expanded into these things that can be just so good for me.
Yeah.
Right? So like they love themselves, so I'm like, okay, I can love myself too, and we can all still love each other, and it's all good.
Yeah,
It's
and
not-
we don't always have to
Yes.
agree, like just like you
Yes,
had that
yeah.
conversation with your youngest. Like, we can have these discussions,
Yes.
and it's not like when we were younger
Yes.
and it felt like your parents are saying one thing, and if you kind of give your opinion, it's like, no, that's not the right way. And you're
Yes.
like, it's almost like you stop sharing your voice because you don't feel like it has value or what have you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I've also learned, it's so funny, so much from my kids, just in the way they take care of themselves. And to your point of you showing them that maybe like that you didn't matter, right? And now you are.
Yes.
We're also showing the universe the
Yeah.
exact same thing. Like, you're showing the world like, oh, I don't matter. I'm going to put everyone else first. And so what does that show? You're not going to continue getting all like, the things and the blessings, because it's like, well, you don't even value yourself, right? Like, why am I
Yes.
giving you all these,
Yeah.
different things when you're not even prioritizing yourself? I think it's like a lesson that we have to learn. I feel like we definitely learned it, through going through, some difficult things. Mine are, God, it's crazy. She's a senior this year, 17 and 16. So I have a junior and a senior. And at first I loved that we had
Yeah.
kids that were close in age and that they got to like play and bond. And, I think they share a special
Yeah.
bond, even though they don't
Yes.
see each other often.
Yeah.
And, like they love each other. And for me, it is crazy. I used to be a people pleaser. Your words matter. I had no boundaries, and it's amazing. I don't even know exactly where they learned it from, right? I think I'm grateful for social media in a way for these different things, right? Because for their first, I would say 10 years, my examples were not the same examples that I got in my household, which was put others above, yourself. You can do the cleaning, the cooking. It was almost like the woman had to do everything. And that's what I saw. And so that's just what I did. There was never a discussion. It's not like my husband was like, you have to do this. In fact, I think I put it all on myself, and then that just became the normal.
Yeah.
Now I'm changing that. And, that can be difficult for certain people, but they are so great at prioritizing themselves, at speaking up, even when it makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, like, okay, maybe you don't want things a certain way, let's say with their friend group. And in my head, part of me is like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Just like go along with it. It's fine. But then that's the people pleasing side of me, right? And then the other side is,
Avoiding.
no, it's good. Hold your ground. If that's not something that you want to do, or you're like, for whatever reason, then let them do it and you
Yeah.
go do something else. Like, it's completely fine. So, and then just the self care with like their skincare, their hobbies, like doing things that they actually love.
The mental breaks.
Yeah, the mental break. Speaking
Mental breaks.
and even being like, hey, I need
Nice
just some
space.
time for myself. I didn't even know when I needed time for myself. It
We're
was like,
still learning. Remember, we did a poll. We're still learning what
I
that
always
means.
wanted to be around people. It was almost
Yeah.
like, what can I do to not be bored and not have to sit with my thoughts, sit with my feelings? And I
Not
think
be
they're a lot
electrocuted.
better about, you know what, I'm in a bad mood and I'm not scared to show that, and I can sit with that and be uncomfortable, and then later they're like fine, and
They're
you know,
over
all
it.
happy, and
That
it's
says
fine.
that says a lot about, right, that you give them that safety. They have safety and comfort. So obviously, like my therapist is big on that. That their children want to be seen and feel safe and
Yeah.
secure, and that's a lot on us. And I think as our kids grow, for the mothers this age, we don't realize it's very special, but it is, you're growing into your own person, your own identity. And it can be both things. It can be really beautiful to see, and it can also feel so uncomfortable because we don't know how to do that, right? Like I recognize that a lot of with my daughter. I will say the oldest, that I've kind of but I've kind of been encouraged her to go do, because I always say, she asked me last year before she graduated regarding things that were going to happen in her life. What would I have done if I could do different? And I was like, well, I would have gone. Then even if I failed, I would have done it. And I got to say, I did it. I tried. I said, because I did try. I was like, but not in the sense, I was like, and I would have loved to have had the support of my
Yeah.
parents, right? And now sometimes we'll have conversations, and she's adapted to the way her life is, and she's like, I'm grateful for this experience, because I mean, she's become so independent and so learned so much, and I've learned from her that I can go and do things, and it's okay, and it's not, again, scary, and it can be uncomfortable. But if I always think, if she can do it and be like on her own and get up and go do, how can I say, I can't
Yeah.
take care of myself? Just the simple fact of whatever, fix myself a meal or sit down or rest without apologizing or being like, what, today I'm in a fucking bad mood.
Yeah.
It's just not a good day. And actually saying it like without hurting anybody's feelings, because I think we still, us as women
Tiptoe
for our age,
sometimes.
we don't feel comfortable. And it makes a lot of people, our generation, I have found, I've sat in a lot of conversations, people feel uncomfortable when you say that. They even though you think most of us are, no, they're still very uncomfortable with a woman saying, yeah, you know what, I don't like that shit. I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm finding through this path of learning from my children that I'm like, you know what, no, I can do boundaries.
Yeah.
And they're okay, and
They're needed.
they're needed. We've talked about it, but this is even deeper now, that it's like, what do I need? What does it look like? How much can I engage on whatever relationship or whatever it is I'm doing without it putting at stake or sacrificing any of my peace or
Yeah.
my, you can
Yeah.
be
And who I
uncomfortable
am.
of who I am, my values. And
Yeah.
now that's a big one. I just don't know if I can be around any of that. Like, it gets to the point where,
Yeah.
you're kind of learning from them,
Yeah.
not to be fucking fake anymore.
Yeah. Take off the mask.
And you're just
It's
like,
gonna be.
and they're comfortable, because, which I say, I applaud it, because I'm like, wow, we both do that. We're like, holy shit, like, you got some,
Absolutely,
can
because
be-
it makes me
Well,
get
of
to
course.
be that way. I'm
I
like,
know.
what are back
I
to
always wanna-
what are
yeah.
they gonna think? Like
or
that
you're gonna
I'm
be like, they're gonna leave you, or you're not gonna be included, like,
yeah.
but teaching them, the girls, I mean, and like I said, like, my boys, I like to see, for them to see it a lot. I think that we've both done a great job. We're doing a lot of our care of our bodies right now. We're done our mental. We're going to do things where we're discussing to them with them. Like when we went to Awaken, I think we both had the conversations in our houses, what that looked like, what it was about. Not thoroughly the nitty
Yeah,
gritty,
yeah.
but they understood that it was a whole thing we went to
And that we're
heal
doing for
and for
ourselves.
ourselves, and that by default, we're breaking these patterns that our kids don't have to go into them, right? And for them to see really like that, like a happy, not happy, I won't say happy because I think that comes and goes, but I think like a healthy, regulated mother is the best gift that any child can have, right? Because you can kind of be like that strong ground, and you can hold. And then, you know what, if they see that you sometimes you kind of like break, it's okay, because then, you know, they're understanding.
Yeah.
And that their world also is not going to shatter, because again, if you're super like the pillar, because that's what I used to be, and then the
Yes.
controller and all that stuff, then they don't know how to face things.
Yeah, well, imagine
know?
when they get married. Like
Oh.
honestly, I would
Yeah.
never. My kids have never like even heard
Yeah.
us argue. Like
Yeah.
that's, and then I wonder,
Conflict.
is that good or not? In my head, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's good because I did not
Conflict
like hearing my
resolution.
parents
But they
arguing.
have, but don't you think they have their on their own now in high school? They
Oh,
must have
their-
some kind of
their
conflict.
arguments?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no,
with-
them.
yeah,
Yes, no.
yeah.
I'm just saying
With
they never
people,
saw
I'm saying-
me and my
okay, yeah,
husband
yeah.
argue.
Yes.
Right. And it almost sets up a false expectation, right? Or
Yeah.
they would never really see me cry until
Yeah.
finally I got to therapy, and she was like, "You can't. How can you expect to really connect and
Mm-hmm.
bond when you put up a facade, this super strong facade of I've got it together and we never are, you know, like that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't show a realistic expectation, and then you almost set people up for failure because then the person gets married or has
Mm-hmm.
a relationship, and now you're like, oh, well, people don't argue, and then you know when they argue,
Yeah.
that could be something that's confusing. But no, mine definitely will voice their opinions, like one's in a and a lot of communication, which I never had. I'm like, you guys are way ahead of the game.
About their needs,
Yeah,
about what they're okay with,
About their
you know,
expectations.
and conflict is okay.
Yeah.
And they'll resolve, or, you know, they're not avoiding it. Like that's huge. Again, like to learn at a young age, right? As you're entering young adulthood, right?
to have that skill.
Yeah, and here we are, the mothers,
To
in
say
awe
no.
that we're just like, wow, we can do it too.
I'm all like, okay, what else, girl? What else do I say?
What else
I can
do
say
you
no.
do?
Okay, no.
Oh yes,
Taking notes
yes,
from
you
them.
can say no, and you can definitely take a break, and, you know, do things you enjoy just for the sake of enjoying them, without it having any purpose.
You know, one said something to me. It was really interesting. So one has a hobby, and I'm like, you could do that and like sell it,
Yeah.
right? Because in my head, I'm always thinking business. Oh, like monetize that. Like, what can you do? She's like, I don't want to take away from the joy of just creating.
Yeah,
And I was
she's
like, well,
so
damn.
creative.
First, you're wise,
Yes.
okay, and second, that totally makes sense, right? If
Yeah.
you start doing something that you love, maybe it's photography, and now like you're, monetizing it, and like you feel like it's a chore. I could totally get that.
This is it.
But on top of just the fact that she's able to communicate that and voice that to me and be like, no, that's not what I want to do. That's not a choice I'm going to make.
Exactly.
And I
being,
absolutely
being
love it.
creative itself, like being creative, like, you know, we say we're looking for
My hobby was going
all
out
the
with
things.
Gabby.
Yeah, we were in a whole different. It was a whole different ball game when you think about it. And I think it's just, again, we didn't have what our kids have, right? We're both very privileged that we have a life that we can provide and give them access to a lot of stuff, and be there and be present. So they have a lot of stability, where we, we're figuring it out, not by our parents did the best they could, but that's just how our life was.
Yeah.
And now we get to be here now and keep learning, so we can, keep learning from them, and showing them, I guess, is the big thing, is showing, especially as we talk about it being Women's Month, like I remember a few years back, my oldest mostly, right, that I don't know if she felt comfortable. I am going to say it here, I'll say it. I tend to lean more progressive. I was raised Catholic with very like progressive beliefs, and that's just never going to leave me. So in my house, which we live in Texas, there could be conflict, and there was times that I would be very upset, because I would tell my husband, I mean, who raised like two of them or whatever, right? How can they even think that way? Because now I acknowledge it's just they could have their own opinion,
And they can change it
They
anytime
can
they
change,
might
and that
change
doesn't
it.
take that. My stuff, I'm always right, and so a lot of dialogues about that, and being willing to understand, and being willing to like learn about what they're into, what matters to them. And now that they can see me as part of like same as a human, that I just not like the mom, because like mine are going into adulthood, so it's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it, and especially again going back to being a woman, it's my priority that my girls understand their worth, and that that they deserve to have it all, and to be who they want to be, without apologizing ever, like not making
Yes.
themselves small, or like these words like really matter when you think about it, because I haven't been good with I'm better with my oldest. I didn't do a good job of telling her those things. I felt like I showed her, but I didn't tell her. Now I see that she knows, and she knows her value, and like
Yeah.
that stuff, that I'm like, yeah, you get it, and you get what matters, like what the people you love, and the things that are important. So it's just good to recognize, and that we can say it as, it can't be just shut down. I mean, we're here, we exist. The world depends on us, the
Yeah.
women, and we make it run.
It is like to
So-
see this next generation
Yes,
of
yes.
women and of young ladies that
Yeah.
are like growing up, and they're not playing small. They're like really
Yes.
like owning it and being like, my voice matters.
Yes.
But it also is sad that they still have to encounter and say my voice matters. Like, for example, them dealing with like just right, you're part of organizations, right, or like some groups, and where you kind of see certain teachers or certain people like in bigger position, or like
Yeah.
teachers, that when a guy speaks, it's more, oh, I'm going to pay more attention versus a
The
girl. Like,
authority
this
figure.
is something
Yeah.
that they're seeing. So raising girls that can say, hey,
I matter too.
yeah, I matter,
Yeah.
is extremely important.
Yes.
That where they have confidence and they know, hey, speak up
Mm-hmm.
and don't shrink just to because somebody else is
Or like-
trying to
or
put
even
you
that
in
you-
your,
yeah,
in your
or
place,
like- or that you have
or
to
they want to
be-
shine harder.
Be something you're not is what it is.
But also, everyone can shine. Like, just because you're shining bright doesn't mean you're taking away. Like, we all have our innate beautiful talents, or the way we speak, or something, and we can all shine bright and lift each other up as women. So I think that's also another thing that I feel is so important to teach our young ladies, that hey, you should freaking go at it hard. You are a badass, and also the other person is a badass
Yes,
too,
yes,
and
yes.
that is not taking anything away
Yes,
from you.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like we can, as women, get that a little bit like competitive, right? Or you've
cattiness.
seen it, yeah.
But it's like, I think some people just don't ever mature either. That doesn't go.
Yeah.
That just happens with your, I don't know.
That's
'cause
it.
Some
It's your
people are in their
personality.
mid-50s and you're like, geez, calm down. But it is good to recognize that we all have some value, right?
Mm-hmm.
But especially, I mean, I love like watching the Winter Olympics. I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but obviously, my favorite place, social media, gave me all the clips and highlights, and
Mm-hmm.
I cried and cried and cried, and everything I saw, and how they speak about the mental health stuff, about how they
Yes.
take care of themselves, about how they rest, and when they need that downtime, and those things sound so basic. And for our generation, I will tell you again, I've sat in many groups, and people do not do this.
Mm-hmm.
There is like a whole thing. Like, what do you mean? I have
Yeah,
a
to
choice.
sit still, like,
Or
is
like, I
a-
don't have to do it all for everybody. Like, I can choose. I can choose me sometimes, or most of the time. Like,
and not to say it's not, unfortunately, sometimes difficult. Like, if you've been with your spouse for myself, like 20 years, and I went from this super, like, this was my personality, people pleasing. I'm going to protect you and your space and your thoughts, and I'm not going to let anything, like if it was my son, enter your orbit, because we run a business together, that's going to be distracting, because you need to get all this stuff done. So I will take imagine that, like how,
Yeah.
no wonder my damn body hurt all the
Yes,
time. Like,
yes.
I took my stuff that was coming at me, all the kids' stuff, right? Because as
Yeah.
a mom, that's what I was managing as well. And then pretty much I would filter only if it needed to get to him. And I did that. He never asked me to do that. That was all like self-created, right? And then now, 20 years later, I'm learning about
bubble.
boundaries, and it's like I pop that bubble, like, and it's hard. And we even had this dialogue the other day where I had to do some stuff, and so I'm like, okay, no. Every morning I'm like, this is the stuff you have to do, and you need to prioritize. And we're driving, and he's like, oh, can you do this for me? And I'm like, yeah, but I have to do my stuff first. And it was almost like this. He got it, and you don't know what's going through the other person's head. Maybe they already had like a rough morning. And he's like, I just need you to like help me and like support me. And I'm looking at him like, that's all I do. And now I'm trying to prioritize myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it personally. I was like, I see that you're frustrated. Like, okay, you need some. I'm gonna do that. But once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go back to my work. And then later, of course, he apologized, and it became like this whole, like, I finally understood what it means to like hold space for someone without like reacting, and being like,
yeah.
why are you getting mad at me for not doing your stuff? I could have like
Yes.
totally gone
yeah,
off,
yeah,
right?
That could have been ugly.
And then later we discussed it, and it was like really nice because we both kind of held space for each other. I was like, I get your point of view, and he got my point of view. And after 20 years, I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Like, finally I understand what holding space is.
But you're
I would
doing it. That's
yeah,
what
I would
matters,
just
you
keep
see?
my feelings to myself. I would just and for a minute I went back and forth like, girl, you better say something because you don't put up with that anymore. Like, you better say what what you're
Yeah.
feeling, because I was like, for a minute I wanted to go off.
You're like,
And the other side was like,
The softer.
it's fine. Like, and you can talk about it, and it's okay that he has that reaction because it's something that's new. So it is going to be uncomfortable when you have that growth.
Mm-hmm.
It is uncomfortable for the other person, but they also have to get used to it. And
yes.
and you can, almost have that. I think once they understand it better,
Yeah.
it becomes a little bit easier. And same, there's going to be things that he does that he's going to grow where I'm going to be confused by it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once we discuss it, maybe either I understand it better, but either way, it's like you have to accept it. And I'm not doing it in a way of like, I'm not going to help you at all. I think at the beginning it just kind of comes across like that because it's like you almost have to be
But it's good because
ruthlessly selfish. And that sounds crazy, but I remember reading a book that was really
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
when you're such a people pleaser that you almost have to go at it in this kind of extreme way.
But in the end, it ends up being like, because listen, it's so familiar to whatever person we have done this with, right? It's unfamiliar, but they'll eventually will know that it's familiar for you to have the boundaries. They'll know what it
And
looks like, right?
feelings.
Because you're retraining, you're going in another path. You're not doing the same one that's been done for the decades, right? So having the openness where you're in a space now, again, if you think about it as a woman, how hard it is to get to this space, to stop and not go into a full-blown argument or whatever, right? Like, and not be triggered and use all these words. See, and now we can do that. So our children, our daughters get to, be these people that don't have to deal with that. That's already like incredible. Just the act of that, you taking care of yourself.
Yes.
All
And
that
I feel like
stuff.
to me that's motivating. Obviously I should do it for me, and I am doing it for me. But it's a big bonus that I want them to see what a healthy, right, regulated woman looks like, that can stand up for herself, voice her opinion, not shrink, be as big and as beautiful of a light as you need to be, and it's completely fine. And if that other person isn't able to handle that, then
And it
that
doesn't
person
mean
isn't.
to.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
yeah.
It just means like, and that could be a friend,
Yes,
a spouse,
yes,
or like
anything,
a
a family
relationship,
member,
just
anything. Yes,
anybody.
yeah.
It just means maybe we're not on the same vibe right now, and that's okay because we can circle back.
Exactly. For my last email.
Yeah,
We
put a
can
pin in that.
Yeah, exactly. So we just want to remind everybody, our ladies anyway, especially with girls or not, but just how important it is to learn to take care of yourself and to love yourself. First and foremost, like that is really good and important.
Yeah,
I think it makes, from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, it can set you up, to just be regulated.
yeah. That's
Who knew?
self-love. That's self-love and self-acceptance and be your biggest freaking hype girl.
Yeah.
Because you're a badass.
Yeah.
Every person, every woman.
I know.
And we do so much. Like, women are amazing.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking because I wanted to laugh because I'm like, I put into little things I do here and there now that I hadn't done since I was a teenager, right? Like my kids play music super loud all the time when they're getting ready. And now every time I'm going to go do something, like I make sure like I have my speaker on, I play my music,
Yes.
and my husband will come in and he'll start dancing. And it's so funny to me because I don't realize how happy it makes me just to have the music turn on and all that. And it makes me feel, that's like this very minimal. It's not a big deal to do it, but how much happier I am after that, right? Or how much happier I am after going and engaging with people or talking to them or getting out or going to do some kind of activity or the classes I've been trying.
Yeah.
Like just those little things. And it's like what my kids do. So I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, because I've always a pusher and go and do it. But I was like, maybe
not me.
I'll do it later because, I don't have time. I got to take care of you. But we're not. We're working, guys. Listen, look at that. How good we are.
Yes.
We're leaving the people pleasing behind after the lunar eclipse tonight.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. I've been doing
With our woo-woo selves.
cleaned out my the nightstand.
Oh my God, amazing.
Just everything.
I'm
Like
here
my
for it.
closet is still organized.
Impeccable. You are. Look at you. This beautiful dress you have on with our
Let's
cowgirl
go.
boots. Anyway, so thank you for watching.
Yes, and stay Delulu.
Make it happen. We'll see you next time. Bye.